We're talking about the Panasonic GH5S. This is the latest in Panasonic's range of Lumix cameras in the GH series. The GH5 and the GH5S, the main difference that everyone's talking about is the fact that this is essentially a low light video camera. And how Panasonic has managed to do that is they've changed the actual resolution of the CMOS sensor. So rather than it being 20 megapixels like the GH5, it's now a 10 megapixel camera. So what that means is the sensor is the same size, but it has half the resolution. So therefore the individual pixels are bigger. Because they're bigger, they allow more light in, and therefore you have an extended ISO range. With the extended ISO range, you also have less noise. So you have a much cleaner image. And also, as a byproduct of that, you've got 2 additional stops of dynamic range, which makes a significant difference, particularly in the highlights of the video. Another one of the major advantages of the GH5S and the GH5, in fact, over the GH4 is that it records 10-bit. And that's one of the things that, a lot of filmmakers have been after, 10-bit 4K. So you got the 422 color space rather than the 420 color space, which gives you the possibility of having 1 billion color combinations rather than the 16 million that you have using 8-bit. One of the advantages of the GH5S is that Vlog is already built in. So rather than having to purchase it as an additional upgrade, it's already included in this version of the camera. Another major advantage that the GH5S has over the GH4 is that you do not have any recording limits like you do on the GH4. Before you had, certainly in the European models, you had a 29-minute limit on the recording time. But with this now, you're only limited by your storage and also your battery life. And speaking of storage, one of the most fantastic additions that Panasonic has got is they've got a dual card slot. So now you can continuously record from one card to the next without having to swap out while in the middle of shooting. Another fantastic feature by Panasonic is the ability to save and recall the camera settings. Now you can save individual presets, as it were, or camera settings for the C1, C2, and then the C1 to 3, which you could have done previously in the GH4. But what this new feature allows you to do is to actually recall all of those settings in one go. One of the significant differences between the GH5, the GH4, and the GH5S is that it's got a built-in timecode port on this version. So therefore, if you want to use this as either a slave or a master to sync to external timecode, that's now an option, whereas previously it wasn't. So what you have is one of these that then goes into this flash port here, and therefore it gives you a BNC out that can be used obviously to sync to your other machines and to your timecode generator or reader. So that was it, just a very short review and just some of my thoughts on the new excellent Panasonic GH5S camera.